Take it away, Brian.
Well, okay, it's 7 o'clock right now, so I'd like to first welcome everyone. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Okay, I want to start by saying welcome and congratulations to your appointments to the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Commission. The city appreciate your involvement in local government. When I asked you to repeat after me for the oath of office, please state your name one at a time in alphabetical order by last name. If all of you could raise your right hand, make sure your video is turned on and you're unmuted, please. And state your name.
I,
Christopher Kent.
I, Julie.
I think we're going in order alphabetically.
alphabetically, so
I think it's probably me. I, Todd
I
Abbott.
can see our last name.
And just a point of clarification.
Yes.
Commissioner Sardinas probably shouldn't be sworn in right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because,
I'm sorry. I didn't see her join already.
yes.
Yes.
And can
Okay.
everyone
Yes,
answer at the
Commissioner
same time?
Sardinas, it's just the 5 that was here earlier.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
And can everyone say it at the same time, or would you like them to go alphabetical?
Alphabetical order, please.
Okay.
So Commissioner Abbott, then Chen Frank, I'm sorry, Abbott, Beal, Chen Frank, Kent, and Martin.
I didn't know there was going to be a quiz tonight. I'm not prepared. I, Todd Abbott.
Go ahead. And state your name.
I, Brian Beal.
I, Julia Chang Frank.
I, Christopher Kent.
I, Brian Martin.
Do solemnly affirm
Do solemnly
affirm
that I will support and defend
That I
that
will
I will support
support
and
and
defend
defend
the Constitution of the United States
the
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and
and
the
the Constitution of the State of California
California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against
all enemies, foreign and
domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear
true faith and allegiance
faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and
and
the
the
Constitution of the State of
Constitution of the State of
California,
California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I
that
take
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without
any
mental
reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or
purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties
duties upon which I'm about to enter.
And if you could keep your hands up, please. Todd Abbott, do you attest to the oath that you just took?
I do.
You may lower your hand now. Thank you. Brian Beal, do you attest to the oath that you just took?
I do.
Thank you. And Julia Chan Frank, do you attest to the oath that you just took?
I do.
Thank you. And Christopher Kent, do you attest to the oath that you just took?
I do.
Thank you. You may lower your hand now. And Brian Martin, do you attest to the oath that you just took?
Do.
Thank you. So please go ahead and sign the oath that I sent to you. And congratulations, Parks. It's a long name. Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Commissioners. Thank you for your volunteer effort. Now I will turn the meeting back to the commission and also to the previous vice chair, Brian Martin. ahead.
Yes. Well, the first item on the agenda is call to order, roll call. Is that basically what we just did, or do you want to do that?
We'll go ahead and do roll call. Commissioner Abbott?
Here.
Commissioner Beal?
Present.
Commissioner Frank?
Here.
Commissioner Kent?
Here.
Commissioner Martin?
Here.
And Commissioner Sardinez.
Present.
Okay, next item is approval of minutes. Do I have a,
I'll move that we approve the minutes from the November meeting.
do I have a second?
A second.
Roll call?
You're muted, but I think I'm going to be an aye on that one.
You're first. Commissioner Beal?
Yes.
Commissioner Frank?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
I wasn't at that meeting, so it's hard for me to approve those minutes.
I believe you can still approve them. even
Okay,
if you
then
weren't
I
at the
will
meeting.
affirm I read them, yeah.
Okay, great. And Commissioner Martin
Yes.
and Commissioner Sardinez.
Yes.
And it looks like
Okay,
there's one public comment on this item.
On this
Okay.
item. Okay.
So I'll go ahead and bring them in.
Yeah, I approve the minutes. I approve the minutes of last meeting. Thank you. And I'll wait for a public comment on anything not on the agenda next. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so next we have public comment for persons desiring to address the commission on an item that is not on the agenda. So if it's not on the agenda, then please do raise your hand and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Susan Schwartz.
Can you hear me? Thank you so much. I'm Susan Schwartz. I'm the head of Friends of Five Creeks, an all-volunteer group founded in Albany going into our 25th year. And before I get to my main topic, which is Codornices Creek, I want to say it's great to see Chris Kent here, who was a longtime board member and I think was in Friends of Five Creeks before I was. I'm not sure about that, Chris, but I think you were. We owe Chris a lot. Second, on Cerrito Creek, we are just waiting a staff okay to order replacement planks for the burned out Cerrito Creek bench that honors Ruth Menichetti, our former vice president and the longest serving member ever of what was then the Parks Commission. So that will happen. It'll take a few months to get them. But we're excited about that. Turning now to Codornices Creek, where there is just never a dull moment. You have our long letter. Don't worry, I won't read the whole thing. We are very pleased and want to give great credit to Natural Areas Manager Margot Cunningham. On the whole, things are going very well. We hope that you will make sure that this continues by making sure that the required annual maintenance meeting of the 3 agencies is held, that they keep their eye on the long-term goal. Government is going to be hard with all of the crises that we have. But this will be easily dropped. Codornices is always peripheral. Please keep your eye on it. 2 specific things we would really like help with now, perhaps it's 3. We tried for more than a year to get permission at our expense in Urban Atamaz to put a cigarette urn where there is an open one where everybody in University Village comes to smoke because they can't smoke there. And the homeless people then go through the butts and they end up all over the ground. I have to go back to the trash. Unfortunately, in the 2 days since I wrote the letter, there's been a tremendous amount of dumping at 8th Street. I don't know what's going on. Please make sure people work out this trash, not just for the next holidays, but whatever's wrong now, something is off. And we hope we don't need extra support just to get the water turned on. It looks as if we're going to have a parched winter, and we're doing a lot. I'll let the rest of it go. You have the letter, and thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thank you. Staff, is there anyone else with their hand raised?
Yeah, there's one more comment. I'll go ahead and bring in Jeremiah.
Hi, it's Jeremiah. I could give you an update on the 8th and Harrison issue. I'm actually down there every day. I bring food from the Berkeley Food Bank, the Berkeley Food Network, a couple churches. I feed pretty much everybody down there. And a lot of that trash on 8th and Harrison, I see the Berkeley people. Last week they came with a tractor and a dump truck. I mean, it was ridiculous. I suggested, why don't you put a dumpster on 8th and Harrison? The garbage truck could just come by and dump a dumpster. Anyway, that's the city of Berkeley. I don't know what they're doing over there. But that's not really what I want to talk about too much. It's kind of far away from the creek. I know we do have watershed issues. So over here in Albany, I was wondering if private property is within the open space area. Let's say there's an empty lot on Albany Hill. Is that considered open space in Albany? Also, I attended the 2x2x2 meeting. I think I said that right. The UC Regents, they are going to build housing there by Classroom 22. I mean, I'm a UC Giltrap Farm volunteer. I've been there for years. My wife, Elaine. We use a classroom for a refrigerator and we cook meals down there. And they want to turn all that to housing. So my big thing is those turkeys that live in the trees. I mean, the monarch butterflies. I mean, monarch butterflies are going extinct. And the UC Regents, they just want to do construction for the next 2 years. You know, we got to do a bird nest study, which are the roosting turkeys in the trees, and also all the monarch butterflies that live in those trees. So I don't think that housing thing for the UC Village is a good thing right now. I mean, so I understand the housing crisis and everything, but those houses that they're going to build aren't even going to fall underneath the city of Albany's housing requirements because they're not family housing. And the Regents really, I don't know if they care too much. They're just going to build it anyway. There's a lot of trees in Albany that I do love. Some trees, I'm not sure what the illegal trees are, what the illegal ones are. But I know some trees give people allergies when they're pollinating. So maybe we can keep an eye on that. A lot of trees are winterizing right now. And so if we plant a tree, maybe we can have students from Albany help plant it for recreational purposes and have the kids get involved in planting trees around Albany.
Okay, thank you. And seeing no other hands raised, let's take a look at the next item on the agenda is announcements, staff and committee member announcements, reports, and updates of status of previous agenda items.
Yeah, I can go ahead and get my screen here. I just wanted to give a quick update on both the master plan and then Prop 68. I have some notes here. I just wanted to relay just to update the commission. So the master plan RFP update, as most of you know, was released on December 9th, and submissions are due on January 21st. That's next week. And although we haven't received any submissions to date, we do expect to receive some probably closer to the deadline. We sent out over 100 emails and we compiled a list from nearby cities who had recently done master plan RFPs. And as I mentioned, we sent out over 100 emails. So we're feeling confident we'll get some back. And then as far as Prop 68, I wanted to just do a quick update. On June 5th, 2018, California voters did approve Prop 68, which is the Parks and Water Bond Act of 2018. And Proposition 68 supports several grant programs for drought, water, park climate, coastal protection, and outdoor access. And the good news is there's two programs that the city of Albany there's allocated monies going towards. So the first one is the per capita program, and that went to council and was approved on the December 7th agenda. And the per capita grant program provides funding to cities for local park rehabilitation, creation, and improvements on a per capita basis. So the city of Albany's allocation is $189,805. And so more information will be coming as we kind of get more information from the Office of Grants and Local Services. And then the next one, the other program is, we're calling it for short RIRE, R-I-R-E, which stands for Recreational Infrastructure Revenue Enhancement Program. That's going to council here at the next meeting on Tuesday, January 19th. And so that is a resolution to authorize the filing of application with the California Department of Parks and Recreation Office of Grants and Local Services, or OGALS as we call it. And that program is to improve and enhance local or regional park infrastructure. And this one, the city stands to receive $250,000 for this grant program. So that's just a quick update on those two grants. And that's all I have.
Any announcements from committee?
I see that Commissioner Frank might have a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry, for the RFP, and so, excuse me if you've already said this, we had a comment that we're hoping to get like a larger amount for that budget. Did that happen? Was that able to happen?
It did increase, and if I can ask Isabel Leduc to remind us of the amount.
Yeah, the RFP mentions that we have $50,000 to $75,000 available. And if the submissions go beyond 50,000, which is what we have allocated right now, then our recommendation to council would include the appropriation of additional funds up to $75,000.
And I also had a question was, do you know what portion of the two different pots of money from Prop 68 would actually be something that our commission would have some say in, or would it mostly just go straight to public works, or just go to programming, or what?
No, I think that this commission will be very involved, and staff will come up with some ideas, and we'll definitely bring it to the Parks and Rec and Open Space Commission to help formulate a plan.
Yeah, and what we envision that we will go through the Parks, Recreation, Open Space Master Plan update, and the priorities set in that plan will help to guide, the expenditure of the grant funds that will be available to the city. So it will be a combined process. And applications for both funding sources are due December 2021. So there is some time, for the commission to discuss projects as prioritized in the master plan. Probably it's going to happen in the fall, after the master plan update is completed.
And you think we would have the sum of 250,000 and 100 and whatever thousand to work with?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Depending on the projects listed and the eligibility criteria for both grant funds, it's a possibility that they could be combined into one project, or it could be two different projects, or depending on the projects, also potentially combined with other funding source for a bigger project. So. But that still needs to be defined as we move forward with the Park Master Plan update.
Okay, any other questions or announcements? next, that's related to the chair.
Commissioner Martin, you're frozen. You might have tech issues going on here.
Probably his internet's probably slow.
I think we can just go on to the next item.
Or any other announcements from commissioners?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay. Commissioner Martin, you're back in. You're in charge.
Yes, I don't know what's going on, but yes, I had just been asking, or trying to ask if people had, you can either self-nominate or nominate someone else to be.
Before we get to that, I think Commissioner Beal had maybe one more announcement. Is that right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, just a PSA. I wanted to remind everyone because today is January 14th. Valentine's Day is 1 month from today, and love is all we need.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Okay. Does staff have any recommendation for whether we start with chair or vice chair, or how to go about it?
I believe you start with chair.
Chair. Okay. Do we have any nominations for chair?
I nominate Brian.
Mr. Beal.
I nominate Brian Martin. Sorry.
Okay.
That's a flag.
Other nominations for chair. Okay, Commissioner Kent.
I'll nominate Commissioner Abbott.
Okay.
I'm gonna decline at this point. I'm gonna be on two bodies this time, and I don't want to take on too much right now. But I appreciate the nomination.
Other nominations for chair. Okay, so seeing none, we have a roll call vote.
Sure. Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Beal?
Yes.
Commissioner Frank?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent? Did we get a thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Martin
Yes.
and Commissioner Sardinez.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations.
Okay, moving on to vice chair. Do we have a nomination for vice chair? One heartbeat away. Hopefully that won't be from the chair.
I nominate Commissioner Beal.
Okay, do we have any other nominations?
I was wondering, can I nominate Commissioner Sardinez, or maybe not, because she's not sworn in yet?
I actually won't be on the commission anymore. I took a new position with the state of California, and it appears that it might be a conflict of interest for me to continue on the commission. So this is my last meeting.
Too bad.
Yeah, I'll miss you guys, but hopefully I'll still tune in.
Mm-hmm. Other nominations? Okay, seeing none, can we get a roll call vote?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Beal?
Yes.
Commissioner Frank?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Sardinez?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Okay.
And it does look like we have one public comment, so I'll go ahead
Oh,
and
thank you. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Go ahead. Yeah. Whoever
Hi, this is Jeremiah. Thank you. I'm going to get my public comment in now for both chair and vice chair. I just wanted to nominate Brian Beal for chair, because this year I'm nominating everybody for chair and vice chair if they're brand new to the commission, because I'm all about getting new people to positions to make the change. I know, sure, you might want the person with the most experience and who could do the best job, but I just want new people into these chairs. So basically whoever's new to this commission, no matter what commission it's on, SEJC, climate action, I'm always voting for the underdog. You know, I'm always voting for the new they, them, he, she, however people want to describe themselves. So, so for vice chair, I'm going to vote for, I'm going to nominate. Can you tell me who was elected chair? I couldn't hear it.
Commissioner Martin.
Commissioner Martin. Well, shoot, I'm going to vote for nominate Brian Beal for vice chair if he's up for it. Just want to remind you guys, this is a 2-year commitment. And possible, can you explain what the vice chair's roles are? Does the vice chair help write up the resolutions, or does the vice chair help write up the future agenda items? I'm not sure what the role of the vice chair is. So maybe if you can announce that to the public, what the charges are, or what the roles are for the vice chair, what they actually do. I mean, obviously they step up if the chair is missing or absent for the meeting. The vice chair is now the chair of the meeting and runs the meeting. In that meeting, they're going to write up the future agenda items, right? So Brian Beal, if you're up for it, I support you. I nominate you as a public comment. So that's my nomination. Also, Commissioner Sardinas, did I hear you say this is your last meeting on this commission? So due to the Maddies Act, I just want to thank you for your service. Due to the Maddies Act, is there going to be this position open for the public now? Yes. Okay. Thank you for nodding yes. All right. Well, I'll wait for that email from the Maddies Act, making sure the public is aware that there's one seat going to be available to run for this commission. Okay, wonderful. So yeah, Brian Beal, you got my nomination for vice chair. And as soon as this Maddies Act email comes out, I think I might just go ahead and apply to get on this commission, because I love open space. I love parks. I love recreation. I mean, I've been climbing trees since I was a kid. I mean, I love climbing trees. So maybe we can build some tree houses to get the homeless off the streets and put them up in the trees, right? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. A couple of things there. One is, my understanding is the all the positions were open and applications were taken for all the positions, and now they've all been filled for the city council. There's 2 left for the school board. I really don't know anything about their process or their timeline, or if anybody's been nominated. Is there any update on that from staff?
We're awaiting their appointments for this commission. So they have 2 seats that they cannot appoint commissioners, and we hope to get it before the next meeting.
And people who want to apply would apply through the regular city process, and the city would forward it or share all those or something?
Exactly.
Okay. And then as far as, could staff briefly explain the roles of chair and vice chair?
Sure. The vice chair, to answer the Jeremiah's question, is essentially, like you said, if the chair is not able to attend a meeting, they do lead the meetings. And if for any reason Commissioner Martin wasn't able to serve on the the commission anymore, then the vice chair would step up into that role. And the chair, staff and the chair work on various items to prepare the agendas for the upcoming meeting. And yeah, that's the gist.
Okay, thank you. Next up is item 6.2, tree removals. John Hawkridge, Urban Forester, and Margot Cunningham, National Areas Coordinator. The recommendation is to approve tree removals along Cerrito Creek.
Okay. Hello, I'm Margot Cunningham, Natural Areas Coordinator. And I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. So tonight we are seeking approval for the removal of 1 Blackwood acacia and 1 Canary Island date palm. As you can see on this map, located along a portion of Cerrito Creek that is west of San Pablo Avenue. San Pablo Avenue is over here on the right. And this is the Cerrito Creek along here. These trees meet the non-emergency removal criteria in the city tree removal policy and procedures, section 2.1.f. The city tree has been identified for removal as part of a city-approved project. As background, in 2018, the city hired Restoration Design Group, which is a local landscape architecture and restoration engineering firm, to provide guidance, permit consultation, and plans for removing invasive plants, controlling erosion, and planting along the section of Cerrito Creek that you see here between San Pablo Avenue and Adams Street. And RDG helped the city obtain a 5-year permit from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife for invasive plant control and native revegetation along this stretch of Cerrito Creek that you see highlighted in blue. Included in the permit were plans to remove acacias and the palm. The contractor that has been performing vegetation and erosion control work is Urban Tilth, and you see a crew here. They are an environmental education and food justice nonprofit located in Richmond, and they have a program that trains and employs young adults in watershed stewardship. And here they are clearing invasive plants along the creek. So this is the Canary Island date palm, the one tree that we're seeking to remove. And this is growing on the south bank of Cerrito Creek. It is on the inventory for the California Invasive Plant Council. It can grow up to 25 meters, and it tends to grow in clusters and form a dense canopy that excludes light below so that native plants cannot grow. And their seeds are dispersed by birds and by water. And water right here is the creek, which it's growing right next to. And what you see pictured here in front of the palm, these are erosion control wattles and blankets and native plants that Urban Tilth has installed. Okay, and then here is the acacia. This is further west along the creek, and it's a 2-trunked acacia. And this is looking north. And there is a PG&E, This tree is also on the California Invasive Plant Council inventory, and acacias are known for producing root suckers that grow, and pretty soon you get large clonal populations of this plant. They also reproduce by seeds, which are dispersed by water as well, and this is growing right next to the creek. Okay, this is the same tree you see here, the 2 trunks. This is looking south. These are sycamores over here, and then the blind center is behind. And this is all next to a PG&E main gas line that runs below Adams Street, below Cerrito Creek, and then over to Carlson Boulevard. This right here on the far left is a vent for the pipeline. And 4 years ago, PG&E cut down trees all in this area for pipeline safety. The acacia was not cut, presumably because it's beyond the 10-foot safety clearance from the pipeline. Only low-growing plants are allowed to be planted 10 feet on either side of the pipeline. This is another view of the creek and acacia. The acacia is up here in the upper left. This is looking west. And then we have a large elderberry tree here on the south bank. This is a native blue elderberry. And then we've got plantings on both the south bank. These were planted by Urban Tilth. And then on the north bank, we've got some plantings from Friends of Five Creeks. Okay, now this slide shows the area on the north bank opposite of the acacia. You can see the two trunks of this double trunked acacia. And this is where Friends of Five Creeks has planted natives. They've watered it and weeded it for several years. And then these are some native shrubs that Friends of Five Creeks has been tending to. And the group has expressed concern about the removal of the acacia, that it would cause too much sun exposure to the plants on the north bank that they've been taking care of. So after removal of the acacia, we will plant 2 appropriate fast-growing native trees nearby and out of range of the gas pipeline in order to continue to provide shade to some of these plantings. And if necessary, in the summer, we can also install a temporary shade structure over plantings that are sensitive to the sun while the replacement trees are growing to size. And that's it. So we can take questions now about this proposal.
Okay, are there any questions from commissioners? And then we'll get to public comment. So Commissioner Kent, you had a question?
I guess more of a comment than a question. I'll hold it off till we have the discussion. I understood the presentation.
Okay, we go to public comment. Staff, you could, Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, you're muted.
Yeah, hey, it's Jeremiah here. Thank you very much. So, of course, my comment whenever we're planning on cutting down trees is, has anybody climbed up the tree and found all the birds' nests up there? Right? So, and then also, what trees are you planning on planting? You know, was it the buckeye? Was it the this, the that, the willow? You know, and also a lot of tree branches and a lot of leaves fall down in the creek, right? So it clogs the creek up when branches fall and leaves fall. Then we got to do more creek maintenance to get all the branches out of the creek. But my biggest thing is the wildlife. You know, and also if it's non-emergency and the tree's still there, what are the pros and cons? I mean, what's wrong with keeping the tree there if it's not such an emergency? And it's providing shade. It's already doing shade, trees and habitat. It's already providing a habitat. You know, I just really hate to make animals homeless. You know, I mean, Albany, I don't know what Albany is doing, but I'd hate for people, humans or animals, to go homeless. You know, it's the middle of winter. You know, it's the middle of winter, and I don't know what the date is. Maybe after my comment, you could let me know what date you're. I'm on Solano Avenue in Talbot. What date were you guys? Not me. I don't want to cut down trees. What day you're planning on doing this? And it looks like you're going to cut it down to a stump. And can we make that stump into a bench? I've been to many parks, East Bay Regional Parks at Tilden. They've cut down trees and they cut it to where it's a bench. It has a nice backrest and it becomes a natural chair. So I don't know. It seems like the arborist, you know, it's all these trees cut down. Ever since this new arborist came in, all the tree on Cornell and Marin, a lot of these trees are landmarks, you know, and landmarks for wildlife. So I don't know what the big point is on cutting down these trees all the time. I mean, this arborist cut down more trees in Albany than I've ever seen in my life. So I'm not sure what the whole plan on cutting all these trees down right now. I don't know what's going on. But if the tree is not doing any damage right now, you know, I don't see the point. Find out how many birds nest, how many squirrels live in there. You know, I want to know that kind of stuff. And the root system's still going to be in the ground. So just please think of the wildlife.
Okay, thank you. So can staff answer questions about concerns with birds, choice of trees, and turning it into a chair, the stump into a chair?
Sure. Yes, we're gonna, before any work is done on the trees, we do a survey for bird nesting activity. And if there is any activity, then we delay cutting until the birds have finished nesting. In terms of replacement trees, I've got a few in mind, California box elder, Friends of Albany Hill would like a white alder, so that's another possibility. That's a fast growing native tree that likes to be around streams. It's willows, there's toyon, so those are some possibilities. In terms of making it into a bench, that is not practical because this is on a steep, uneven slope behind a fence. So that, and there's also native plantings all around there, so that would not be practical.
If I could give a couple comments here. This is part of a restoration project. It's not a tree removal project. This is along the creek bank, as Margot is pointing out. The acacia is a native species. It doesn't really serve wildlife as native plants would serve. And that's the point, to get to Jeremy's question about that. The point of restoring this is to restore the ecology of this stream bank, this stream area, which means includes everything, includes the birds and the bees and the squirrels or whatever we have, raccoons, whatever's living along that creek there. The acacia really doesn't serve those other species. Same with the palm tree too. It doesn't really serve, it's not a feeding plant for native species, for local animal species. What else? Yeah, I think the white alder was in reference to a different section of the stream where a white alder had fallen. This isn't where we had white alders. This was, as you pointed out, as Margot pointed out, these were acacias in this section. So a good tree, and we might look down where that tree did fall and consider planting there. But and as far as removing a lot of trees, this past year I think we removed 12 trees or so, and we planted 100 trees. We're planting another 100 trees approximately this year. 2 years ago we planted about 100 trees. Trees are removed when they need to come out, not just to remove trees for the heck of it. Bird nest, this is not really nesting season. It could be for some species, and we'll inspect the tree before any work is done on the tree. So that's all I have. Oh,
Yeah.
one more thing I'd like to mention. This is really, the property is, and something Margot didn't address, the property is property of the state. The state School for the Blind owns this property, and they've given Margot permission to remove the trees there. This is not really something that, it's not a street tree, it's not a park tree. It's not really something that's up for the commission to vote on. It's just, this is more informational, since we've already gotten permission for the removal. Margot's contacted all nearby parties, all the neighbors on the other side of the stream, as well as, well, the only neighbor on this side is the School for the Blind. So, so it's sort of a different issue. This isn't a regular street tree issue. It's Margot's project, but I just wanted to add that in. So.
One point of clarification there is on the agenda. It says staff recommendation approve tree removals. So maybe that's probably why people are thinking, oh, well, so it doesn't say for information only. So staff, does that mean we need to have a vote to approve tree removals?
Do we need a what?
A vote to
a vote. Oh. I think technically, I think we mistakenly submitted it as, you know, we wanted to bring it to the commission to let you know about it, but it, excuse me, sort of mistakenly got submitted as a something for approval. Again, it's, if you look on our removal policy, it's not, this is private property. This isn't city property. So it's a project that the city has taken on that runs through private property. But
So-
it's not really something that we can
Yeah.
approve
So
or deny.
it sounds like that's a mistake in the agenda. It should have just said it just should have said information only. We don't have the city attorney here, but I'm wondering, you know, the document that's actually, you know, sent out to the public with advance notice and everything says approval. So do we need to follow through with what the document actually says, or can we make a correction here and now? What does staff seem to think about that?
It's only a staff recommendation. There's no binding, you know, action for the commission.
Other discussion?
Just some clarification. There's a planting plan in the report, but that's just a sample on page, I think it was PG&E, page 2 of 3. What is that?
That was what PG&E, after they cut down all these trees without, they actually didn't get permission from anybody to cut trees over this pipeline, and everybody, Friends of Five Creeks, got really mad because the area was just devastated and plants that they had planted were destroyed.
Okay, so that's just something they threw out there to try to appease or an idea. Okay.
Yeah, and they did plant some natives there also.
Anyone else?
So I would just voice my support. I like the suggestion of planting a white alder. It seems like since this is public or private property, we're not going to plant anything there anyway. But I like the offer to restore the white alder that was lost for their in a different location. I just put my vote of support in for that.
And you want Commissioner Beal?
Oh, I just wanted to speak to some of Jeremiah's concerns and say that, you know, the tree removals happen around the city based on policies, and they might go to different commissions or agencies based on where they are. But I certainly support the idea of having trees in the city. And one of the great things that we have is the city street tree program, where residents can sign up for it and they pay like $200 or something, and the city will come and put a tree in front of your house. And that helps make our neighborhood more livable and have more of the things you're talking about. And in terms of an invasive tree, I just wanted to give it kind of a historical perspective that this area was here 500 years ago before European settlers came, and it was in a natural state. Settlers came in and brought different plants from around the world, and this poses a problem, you know, as Mr. Hawkridge said, that it drives out the native species and causes problems. It's kind of just like an Amazon, you know, coming in and driving out the small businesses. Not to pick on Amazon, but it's like having a big company that comes in. It's the same thing that's going on in the forest level. So, and I think if we were going to prove this, I mean, my overall comment would be that we need to do the tree removal, but we also need to make sure that the Friends of Five Creeks concerns are addressed. And it sounds like they are being. It sounds like the city is doing something to provide the shade so that will protect the trees. The one suggestion I would make, it sounds like the decision of what trees have to be planted doesn't need to be made right now. So maybe that might be something for another meeting, possibly.
I just have a point of clarification to ask. Are all the trees on private property?
Yes,
Okay.
the whole stream, that whole section of the stream belongs to the state of California.
That's public.
Through the
Yeah,
school.
state property, right?
Okay.
And then also on the north side, that would be the purview of the city of El Cerrito.
Not in that section. The stream itself is not the exact boundary. It's generally thought to be the boundary between the two cities or two counties, but it kind of meanders, as the stream also meanders. The boundary meanders back and forth in different areas. So right in that area, as far as I can tell, the boundary is on the north side of the stream. Albany ends on the north side of the north side, yeah.
If there's no further discussions.
Oh, I have a couple. I have a comment.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't disagree with taking the tree. I think all that what you're described is great. My only concern is that, was there some reason it wasn't taken out before you did the restoration? It seems like a lot of damage might happen and trampling through, taking the palm out especially. Was there kind of some kind of bureaucratic hurdle that prevented you from, I mean, looking at the future maybe?
Well, one reason would be I didn't get involved in this part of the this creek restoration along here until about a year ago, and some invasive trees were removed along there. I believe some acacias, but not the big palm and not this other acacia. So I'm not sure exactly why.
Oh, it was just missed. So the other question was the acacia. Once it's taken out, as you've stated, all the roots are going to shoot up, right? So you're going to have 1,000 little suckers growing everywhere. So there'd probably be a bunch of, or significant kind of return and removal of all the little ones that are kind of taking over that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a matter of going back and cutting all the sprouts constantly, which I have done in other areas.
Okay.
I've done it on Albany Hill, and I'm doing it on Codornices Creek too. And
because I'm still doing it in my backyard from a tree I took out 20 years ago. So yeah, they're tough.
Discussion. Mr. Commissioner Beal.
Sorry to have to go again, but Isabel actually raised a question in my mind. If this is state property, shouldn't the state of California be paying for this instead of the city of Albany?
well, the city of Albany has taken on this section of creek. We got an encroachment permit from the state to do this restoration. So it's part of that restoration plan. And it's of benefit to all residents of Albany.
Okay. Does staff have some guidance as to whether we need to vote on this? It says approve, but maybe this was just for informational purposes.
Yeah, it sounds like an approval is not needed. So, this is an informational item only.
No further questions, and we can move to the next item.
All right, thank you. Next up is item 6.3, review of commission work plan. Commission will review 2019-2021 work plan initiatives updates.
Yeah, I wanted to give a overview of just the general work plan. What is a work plan? Why are we reviewing it? And then I'm going to pass it along to Isabel, as she has the historical knowledge and can talk to some of the specifics on the program, and we can go through some of the items. But in general, just a review, most of you probably already know this, but work plan identifies recent accomplishments and prioritizes work items for the upcoming 2-year work plan period. And work plan priorities can be derived from the council's strategic plan and include items of interest by the commission. And typically the commission will begin reviewing the current work plan in January at the first meeting. Here we are. and continue working on the upcoming plan for the next few meetings. And then advisory bodies are encouraged to really focus on reasonable number of work plan items to accomplish within a 2-year period and recognizing the potential workload associated with each item. And then the commission will then present their work plan to council in spring. So we're April or May for approval. And if changes need to be made at any time during the 2-year period of the work plan, they can submit a form called the request for amendment to advisory body work plan form. And you'll see on the current work plan, which we'll share here in a minute, it runs from June 2019 through June this year. So what the idea is that we start working on the next one that would start in June 2021, and then it would go to 2023, June 2023. It seems like a long way away. And the current work plan was approved by council April 15th, 2019. So if there's no questions regarding that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Isabel and you can take it from there.
Okay, thank you, Eva. So I will share my screen. Hopefully it works. Let's see. This one.
And while we're waiting, I noticed we're down 2 commissioners. Do you know if those commissioners are planning to come back or if they are done for the night?
I think just the camera may be off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they're still here.
Okay, so so for those of you who were here a year ago, you remember that we did go through a, I'll just go back, a pros commission work plan update on initiatives of the work plan. So what I did for this item is basically updated the status column right here when there was an update to present since the last one that you received about a year ago. So if it's the desire of the commission, I can certainly go through very quickly each of the objectives and items as a way of also, bringing everybody up to speed on the current work plan. And it can also be, a starter for, items that you would like to see in your upcoming work plan. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could, is there a way to zoom in or expand it?
Let's see. Oh, it's right here. Okay, let me see. So is that better?
I'm not sure the window is being shared that you're wanting to share. We're looking at the browser.
Do you have 2 screens? Maybe you're sharing the wrong screen.
I'm looking at it.
I see. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
I do have 2 screens.
I got 3, so.
That's what I'm sharing now. Okay, that's actually better for me. Okay. So does
There
this
we
help?
go. And if you're able to zoom that. Yeah, that's
That
working.
helps. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I will click out of this one. Okay, well, I'll leave it because somehow it, okay. So, so under council strategic plan goal, maximize and improve parks and open space. The first objective in your work plan was to conduct an analysis for turf grass field and opportunities for enhanced landscaping at Thompson's Pierce Street Park. And you reviewed an analysis when you would have reviewed an analysis when presented to the commission. But since then, there hasn't been much progress on this item. And since we're doing the update to the Parks Recreation Open Space Master Plan, this analysis will be part of that plan. We're also, just want to make sure I can see you guys. Okay, So we're also, there was also another objective, which was to ensure that benches are available as needed for seniors and others who may be in need to have opportunities to sit while using parks. And you reviewed proposed locations and recommended additional benches in Dock Park. So that item was completed by the commission. And there will be a further assessment included as part of the revisions to the Parks Recreation Open Space Master Plan, and temporary benches to be installed as needed, as well as in the design of amenities for the dog park. So that is still ongoing. And the Eagle Scout project has been completed, which includes a bench and a covered area. Okay. Any questions so far, or good? Okay.
Sorry, I do have a question, Isabel. Just, you know, maybe I'm just, my memory is not, you know, serving me, but were those the only two, you know, items under that objective? I seem to remember we had a long list of different things. So I'm just wondering how we came up with these two.
I can scroll back up so you can see the 2 bullet points.
Okay, and that's what we had sort of codified or not like finalized at
Yes.
some. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then also to clarify, objective 1 doesn't mean priority 1. Objective 2, it's just a list of objectives, right?
Yeah, there's no prioritization in the work plan or in the council strategic plan.
And I just want to make a comment there that for that assure benches, I don't remember, you know, ever doing like a full scale review. I think it's sort of like, that's the one thing we did do on the benches is the dog park, but it was an assessment of all the parks to see if there are appropriate number of benches. Just want to make that comment.
Yeah, and that assessment will be included as part of the master plan update.
Great.
Which
Okay.
we'll have input into when it comes to the commission.
That sounds great. Thanks.
So it's objective number 2, enhance open space. Review prioritized list of projects on Albany Hill to include in the CIP program. You reviewed the list, and the Albany Hill Access Improvement project was completed in July 2020, and we've received a grant to fund additional access improvements in the future. We review forest management plan for Albany Hill, including fuel load analysis. This has not moved forward since the beginning of the plan, but the city is identifying a consultant to provide technical assistance to develop the management plan, and it will be brought to the commission when it's ready for comments. And then program and implement final measure R projects and provide final accounting for the measure. You received a presentation in December of 2019 on open space and final measure R projects. And then Bocce had been identified and recommended as a project for measure R, but that project has not moved forward, and I believe measure R funds have been spent. So Bocce will be rolled into an activity for review as part of the master plan as well. And then annual review, CIP and maintenance project on creeks. You receive an annual review, and you did get a presentation in December 2019 and just 2 months ago in November 2020. And it was a presentation by Margot on creeks and open space maintenance. Review maintenance schedule and plans for enhancements through programming of Measure M. You'll review the plans when they are presented to the commission, and creek and open space presented in December 2019 and November 2020. And we expect park maintenance presentation in spring of 2021. So basically this is ongoing. You should be receiving a presentation once a year on creek and open space and once a year on park maintenance and facilities. And then we've talked about, you've talked as a commission about the bike park. And per the last, I think that was in, I want to say October, it was confirmed with Caltrans, leasing requirements and available location, and determined that the bike park is not feasible at the location under the highway on Cleveland Avenue, and interest for the bike park will continue to be pursued. Will continue in the Parks and Recreation Open Space update. So it will be included as an activity for consideration in the update to the master plan.
And I would clarify that just to say that we got some feedback from Caltrans that they had some questions or issues or concerns, and that I think it's possible that a bike park could eventually go there, just like there is one in Seattle under a freeway, just like what we have here. So I wouldn't say that it's impossible to go there. So maybe change the wording on that.
Sure, I can change the wording, but the commission, I think the commission is going to have to decide at some point, when this comes back to you, whether it's, it should continue to work on that property, knowing that there's quite a few hurdles. And it sounded like from that meeting that it would be almost impossible to do at that location because of the columns, or spend some time looking for another, maybe more suitable location. But I'm happy to change the verbiage for the next presentation. Sure.
Thank you.
Isabel, something new. What does CIP stand for?
Oh, Capital Improvement Plan.
Oh, okay, obvious. All right, thank you.
Sure. And then we've identified funding for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And actually, as we mentioned earlier in the meeting, the request for proposal for the update went out in December, at the beginning of December, and we expect submissions. The submission deadline is January 21st. So we expect that big part of the commission's work in this upcoming year will be to work with the consultant and provide feedback on this plan. Any other questions for this section before I move on to objective 3? Okay. So under create cultural facilities and opportunities, so the next 2 items, which are in regards of an inventory of private memorials on public land. We have included this as part of the scope of the consultant for the update of the master plan. So we'll see, what the consultants provide as far as a process for the inventory and recommendation on maintenance and improvements to the memorials we have on public land. And the investigation of the veterans building retrofit and investigating funding options. Updated cost estimates were provided to council in December 2018. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, and then you had other work plan items. Some of them are a little repetitive from the ones that I already went through, so I will go quicker on these. So review Memorial Park pathway lighting design and complete installation. This has been incorporated in the fall 2021 CIP project, CIP update, and it sounds like it's going to move forward in the next few months or so. So I apologize, I didn't update the insufficient funding, but I think there's funding available. There's funding that has been found to be able to finish the pathway lighting. And then review designs and construct Ocean View Park Bocce Court. I mentioned that earlier. It was approved, but it was approved at measure WW. And after, I think maybe Measure R were also designated because the project ended up becoming more expensive than anticipated. But the Measure WW funding was used to complete other projects. So the funding for Bocce Court basically went away. And just to mention about Measure WW, all projects funded with Measure WW have been completed. And now we're in the process of finalizing our invoice to the state for reimbursement for the costs. And so the next one was complete analysis of potential dog park locations. The council approved the commission's recommendation to make section B at Memorial Park a dog park. And we are still waiting to to get a consultant to design additional dog park amenities. But as I mentioned earlier, the Eagle Scout project, it has been completed. And review Albany Hill access and trail projects. As mentioned earlier, the project is completed. And as for the bridge, it is pending due to the need to collaborate with the city of El Cerrito on this one.
One point of clarification on the hill. I seem to recall that Mark, the head of Public Works, was saying that there were some aspects of it that the contractor they had, wasn't going to do some of the things on some of the steeper parts of the hill on the trail, and they were going to have to hire that out piecemeal or something, and that wasn't, like, there were a few parts that weren't finished. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, unfortunately I can't, because I don't have that information to that specificity. I do know that there's another $250,000 that's been designated to continue the improvements to Albany Hill. But I can't go into the details as to which area of the hill still needs improvements.
So 250,000 from general fund, do you think?
No, I think it was, I mentioned it earlier. Let's see. Coastal Conservancy grant.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. So review park signage and establish uniform signage program for Albany parks. This is unfunded and hasn't moved forward. And then continue to support Peggy Thompson Pierce Street Park. There are none pending, so other than the turf analysis. But again, we're basically rolling that into the master plan update. And investigate the relocation of the community garden. This report is also pending city staff assessment. And so we've already talked about the bike park. And then new work plan items. These were items selected by the commission and approved by council. Support and provide input into a city master tree plan. The Community Development Department will be administering the process in 2021, and the Commission will be providing input into the plan when presented to the Commission. Memorial Park improvements, the lighting improvements are the only ones, it is the only project remaining, and it is going to move forward. The Key Route Boulevard median improvements, that component has been included as part of the complete streets. And then the dog park, we've talked about the dog park already. And convert Ocean View Park tennis courts to pickleball courts. The item went the commission made an analysis, made a recommendation to council, and the council chose to roll that into the update to the master plan as well.
I have a question about that, Isabel. So they didn't necessarily approve it, is that right? They want to sort of analyze it. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So add cement tables, table tennis to Ocean View Park. There's no funding. Update parks and recreation. Okay, we've talked about that. So support collaboration opportunities with nonprofit organizations on park projects and programming. This is as needed and ongoing. Pursue public bathrooms on Ohlone Greenway. That information, I believe, has not come to the commission yet. And then priority 2, work with Urban Forester on a tree removal education campaign for homeowners. So this information will be presented to the commission when ready. And the Senior Center Expansion Project design has been included in the CIP unfunded section. It's a big project. The Monarch Habitat Assessment development has been completed in June of 2018. Pocket parks, we have none pending currently. And convert Terrace Park 5 to 12 playground from sand to fiber. And engage the community in the selection of a new playground feature. So the sand was removed and replaced with fiber. And incorporate playground equipment into spring 2020 CIP update. And the playground equipment.
Isabel, on support review design of non-traditional parks, pocket parks, and parklets, does that include all the little parklets that are popping up on Solano?
Yes.
It says none pending on it. I think there's a whole bunch pending.
Well, what?
No, those, right.
Those are not temporary ones, permanent ones you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Let me finish with the ongoing, and I think we're there. Review street tree removal applications. You're doing that on a quarterly basis. Annual review of the status of AB 2404. The review is annually, so we will be doing that soon again. And then biennial review of the street tree removal policy has been completed. And the last 3 items are have already been mentioned earlier in the chart. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Frank?
Yeah, I just it's great that we're going to be doing the master plan, and a lot of these actions will be folded right in. Just wondering if we could get sort of an understanding of how we would be involved in that master plan development. And I'm not saying that we would want to be involved in the RFP, like the selection of the consultants, but I know some other bodies have done that too, have included like commissioners within that selection process. Just wondering, just big picture, how you're thinking we would be.
Yeah, I think the master plan, the RFP did mention quite a degree of involvement, a certain degree of involvement by the commission. We will, we'll see what the consultants provide, but we envision that if there is a need first for, if we get a lot of, competitive submissions, we will probably have an interview panel, and we would come back to you at your February meeting, to ask for a member to be part of the interview panel. But the interview panel would be done offline, obviously, and with other city staff and potentially staff from other cities. So we would, select members to be part of a selection panel to review the submissions, And then moving forward, you know, again, it's going to depend on the consultant's vision of the process, but of course, we do envision that you know, the commission will be involved in specific points in the review of the draft plan, but also to provide feedback on, you know, the different sections as well. I hope that helps.
And Isabel, they'll come and do at least 1 or 2 presentations, right, to the commission?
Yeah, and again, it all depends on, you know, what they submit, and you know, this will be part of the whole review process. You know, how many and the cost. You know, it's all linked. So we'll just have to wait and see what is submitted and what's the best fit for the city.
Commissioner Abbott?
I was just hoping, Isabel and Eva, if you could just kind of clarify what you're looking for us about this tonight. I think this is just kind of, we're just going through it to kind of remind us all. I just want to be sure we make it clear that we're not necessarily looking for new items to add or
That's
I
correct.
just want to, maybe you can just clarify what we're doing here.
Yes, so this was a review. So to show you where the current work plan is, you know, you can choose to start to talk tonight about, you know, potential items for your future work plan, or you can take some time, you know, and start that process at the next meeting and take some time to review the current initiatives, the current work plan, start to think about, you know, what you would like to see, look at the current council strategic plan, and then start that conversation in February if you prefer.
Along those lines, can you tell us what the timeline is? Because I know the city council has to approve the commission and committee work plans by or on a certain date. And so we need to have ours finished by a certain date.
Yeah, usually work plans are reviewed by council in April and May. So you could, you know, you could take a couple months to do your own work plan. There's no set date as to when the work plans have to go before council. It's usually in late spring.
One other thing, do you have a suggestion for how to approach coming up with a list of items to work on and priorities when that's basically what we're going to be doing during the master plan? Should we just, would one option be to basically keep it as is or do whatever tweaks people want to do now, but consider filing a bunch of amendments to it after the master plan is done?
Yeah, I can see that happening for this commission because I think a lot of the work that you'll be doing will be directed by this update to the master plan. So in the and maybe, you know, the work plan that you provide to the council mentions that, and perhaps it's just highlighting a few of the existing items in your work plan now that, you know, may need to continue into the new plan. So and Eva and I can work on that a little bit for the next meeting, you know, and we can start a draft for the commission that would include the obvious items like the presentations, you know, by Public Works on open space and creeks and parks, and your quarterly tree application review. And there's probably a few other items here that, you know, would make sense to move into your new master plan, your new work plan. But as a general, you could have a general statement as part of your work plan that mentions that you would come back with an amendment after the update to the master plan is completed with priority items based on the outcome of the master plan.
Just a comment on Chair Martin, I like that idea, but isn't the end of that master plan, it's going to be some time, right? So I'm just seeing that, like, timeline, the end of the master plan process would be like over several months. So wouldn't that be kind of very late to be submitting any changes to the work plan?
The work plan is 2 years. So basically it would be if you'll be selecting priority items from the master plan, probably in the fall.
Okay.
And because you need to make a decision as to which project to submit applications for funding to the state. So once the update to the master plan is completed, staff will look at the projects, try to put together some funding scenarios for some of the projects, and come to you with some options. Maybe there's one that comes to the top, and is really obvious. So it may be one, or it may be two or three, but we'd come up with packages of plans of action for to move forward with the already identified funding, and potentially tack on new funding if we have some available. So I envision that happening maybe in October, and then it would go to council and then go to the state.
Okay, great. So I'm thinking that then I'm just sort of a idea, obviously, is to have the master plan process guide what we talk about for each agenda, right? So we can sort of, it would just be nice, just if you could let the consultant know, it would be helpful for us to sort of be on track to discuss items as the strategic plan the master park plan is being discussed, so that we can just be prompt in our sort of thinking and decision making around those points of that where you need input.
Yes.
Other items of discussion? I wanted to, one thing you left off that we did for a decent chunk of our time was to stay safe and shelter in place for about 4 or 5 months, I think it was, with no meetings until the whole Zoom thing was figured out. And so yes, congratulations to everyone that was working on that, through all that, and figuring all that out and getting done what we could. Commissioner Beal?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one comment that, it's over the next year, we're going to be looking at the work plan. And what you just said about COVID-19 is that somehow what has happened should affect the steering of this commission. Because I think that there just should be something on there about COVID-19 and about seeing how we can make use of parks and recreation facilities to help out with this situation. And that should be something that should get on the agenda or on the work plan. And I think that we would find support for that from the public and from the city council.
Okay. So do we have any, sounds like this was mostly for informational purposes, but if people have any thoughts on some of the things the commission has been working on, or ideas that things people are thinking the commission should be working on?
Do we need to open it for public comment before we go into discussion?
Good idea. Thank you so much. Yes, let's move on to public comment. And first we have Jeremiah.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. There's a lot of things to discuss on here. I was just wondering if any commissioners had their own ideas on what they wanted to work on throughout the year. I know this is what the city manager and vice manager and the master plan. I was curious what interests the people on this commission, what your interests are. I mean, this is a great outline for the city and the budget and the master plan and the agendas. But I was just curious, if you have time, maybe this meeting or next meeting, what your guys' interests were to get done while being on this commission or committee. Any of your hobbies or things like that are maybe go with this agenda or with this master plan. But if you have any new ideas to bring to the table, about future agenda items. I was just wondering your goals. I mean, all of you want to be on this commission or committee for a reason. I don't know if it's just a motion to pass and approve every agenda item that comes along. You know, I motion to pass, I motion to approve. It kind of gets boring after a while. You know, I was wondering if you guys had your own ideas, what change you could bring to Albany instead of the same old stuff every time. I noticed on there, I'm trying to be as respectful as I can. I noticed on this master plan, even the arborist has something in the agenda for homeowners. You already know what I'm going to say, right? Tree removal. I mean, there's already a master plan for people on the property about a tree removal class. Once again, tree removals. It's just spreading like the COVID virus all over Albany. Tree removal here, tree removal there. What about tree planting? I mean, why not teach a class on how to plant a tree? It just seems kind of one-sided all the time. Tree removal, tree removal. I mean, does the arborist have stock in tree removal? I mean, do you have friends that we hire every time? I mean, do you have friends that are consultants with all these stump removals? I mean, it's a lot of money involved in tree removals, thousands of dollars, you know. It's just, I don't know what's going on with all these tree removal ideas, but how about some tree planting? You know, how about with the tree removal class or something you want to give to the homeowners, why not throw in there a flyer with tree planting? You know, you got best of both worlds, right? Seems kind of like we're on one side of the force here. You know, just tree removal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Let's see, do we have, well, maybe we can answer those real quick. Commissioner Frank?
I just wanted to clarify that thank you for the comment, but the comment about the homeowners, that was actually education to sort of recognize the value of trees. So that's just one clarification point. And it was an idea we had a while ago because we did see that there was some requests that come up from residents about tree removals for sidewalk conflicts, but we also want there to be a education campaign around the value of trees for all the reasons, beautification, climate change, et cetera. So just wanted to clarify that. But also I think that's a good point about tree planting. And I think John Hawkridge, urban forester, has talked about the tree planting that he's done, but I do think that there could be some interesting sort of block party tree plantings that I think have been done in the past in Albany that I'd love to revisit. So in response to the question of what the commissioner's interested in, that's one thing I'm definitely interested in: tree education about the value of trees, more tree planting, block parties, but then also the master tree plan, which isn't going to be part of the master recreation plan. So that's something we can take up when we talk more about the work plan, is if we are doing, there's going to be times when we don't have much to talk about because the master plan is being developed. What can we work on in the meantime that we haven't touched? And I think that's one thing is, anyway, and I know that the community development programs taking that on, but it's just something that I'd be interested in pushing forward. And then the other thing is, and I assume that the master recreation plan is going to include like all sorts of recreation, not just benches, but all the types of recreation and assessing what we have and what we're missing. But I think, since this last master plan was developed, which was like Isabel was like 10 years ago, right? 12 years ago, there's been a lot of creative park, I think, development. And how can we look at innovative models where we have this tiny space in Albany, but we also have like a lot of density, right? So how can we make use and make multi-facility or multi-sport spaces in our small confined footprint of Albany to really maximize recreation? I'd love to see that in that plan. So that's all I had to say.
Commissioner Beal?
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of what Julie was saying. And I think this is a matter of perspective, because there's tree removals and tree plantings going on in the city all the time. And what you might view, you may be hearing about a lot of tree removals. That's just because those require the most process around, because if you see, the city's got a policy on tree removal. But also, I wanted to come back to the city's street tree program, because I think you'll be happy to know that on my block, there have been 4 street trees planted in the last, I believe, the last 2 years. And I'm the block party host, the National Night Out Block Party captain on my block. And so at the last block party we had, which was in 2019, one of the residents had 2 of these trees planted and came and brought flyers, and we talked about it at the block party. And so it turned out then, you know, another place up the street, they did it. So this has been happening a lot. So I think, and back to Julie's point about tree education, I saw one of my neighbors top their trees, and I was really sad about it, because, and then I read the neighbor that brought this stuff about the tree program talked about topping and how it's just really the wrong thing to do for a tree. And it's generally, it's older arborists that don't really understand what's right. And it looks like, well, anyway, so that's what I want to talk about, the value of that, and how I think this is a matter of perspective. Though I agree we need to plant more trees, I just want to call out this one program where it is going on. And again, residents have the option that strip, and I think it's unclear who owns that. It may vary in the city. I'm not sure what the deal is, but the resident could choose to either go out there themselves, dig up the strip, and plant a tree, or they could pay the $200, get a permit and have the city take care of the whole thing, just like we did with the sidewalks. But then it does become the property of the city, and so that's what I wanted to add.
Commissioner Abbott.
I just have a real quick correction for Commissioner Chang Frank. I'm sorry, it's not 8 or 12. It's 17 years since the park master plan. I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Others, Commissioner Kent, and then Commissioner Sardinas after.
There you go. Yeah, there's several, being new on the panel, kind of trying to find out when we discuss what and how this works. But one of the things, my concern about the city is that the maintenance, there's some things maintained very well, other things that are very small don't get maintained. And I'm not sure if it's a matter of just different jurisdictions. Like, for instance, the Greenway, we have that park course across from the senior home. When half of those pieces of equipment are broken, I'm not sure if that's on the city or on BART to fix. I mean, it's just missing a pin so that you can use the weights. It's just the little teeny things. And I also walk through a lot of parks being a designer. I see little teeny design flaws which wouldn't take much to fix that would make a big difference. One of the little things, like there's a memorial tree in Memorial Park, which has a low limb, and all the kids use that to climb and get way up there in the canopy, and the whole tree is cracking. If we just took that lower branch off, they wouldn't be accessing it. Not that I don't want kids to climb trees, but that tree in particular probably shouldn't be climbed. And then I think of the gateways into Albany, like 580 and 880, and you know, they're not great. I think the one coming off 880 going south is really nice. It's portal, come right into Buchanan, then you drive up. It's really nice. But the one coming in off 580 is terrible. You come into that dead end. There's trash everywhere. It's just kind of horrendous. And I'm not sure who maintains that. Is that a Caltrans jurisdiction or city? So I think if I don't know it, then others don't know it. And who do you call on these sorts of things? A little clarification would help me a lot on those issues.
Well, I can start, and Isabel can pick up what I leave out. But as far as the park course, that I hadn't realized that there. So this is the exact place to voice those issues, because what we can do is that was the Parks and Rec Commission and Recreation Department who put that together along the Ohlone Greenway as a improvement project. And so we can definitely get someone out to assess those and see what needs to be done to fix that. And then I remember the 580 exit. What was the other?
Well,
Like
the
you had- oh, the
well,
limb of the tree.
so the small maintenance thing you wouldn't pick up on
Yeah.
unless you're out there watching the kids playing with kids.
Mhm.
Then you see that stuff. I mean, you wouldn't see it if you just walk through. It's just the little
Right.
things like that. And I jot them down sometimes, but who do I talk to about it? You know, probably you.
And if you don't know, you can always send it to city staff. So myself and Isabel, and we'll pass it along to Public Works, but that's exactly what they would like to know so that they can promote safety. Of course, we want kids playing but safely. So if there's something that you see that is a hazard, then yes, absolutely. That would be, we have Public Works staff in our parks as well as recreation staff every day. So if they haven't seen it, if they see it, they fix it. But if they haven't seen it, that's where we depend on the public to let us know. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then I would like to add to that the Public Works Department also has a service request portal on their on the website.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. All right.
So that's probably the most direct way to report anything that is needs to be fixed, that you see that needs to be fixed. And as far as park maintenance, and you will be receiving a presentation by Public Works in the next few months or so. So that will also be an opportunity for the commission to provide some input on the maintenance of park in general. And I think that will be helpful too.
Great, thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Sardinas?
Yeah, in terms of the master street tree plan, I just wanted to remind folks, and I know this will go into the master plan update for the Park Commission, but there is the climate action plan, and it does have items that are related to carbon sequestration. And so I believe that that will be an area where there will be overlap and potentially work with the Climate Action Commission. And so just to flag that for you all. Also, there's some legislation coming down the pipeline in terms of purchasing compost and the amount of compost that different cities will have to do. And that is another opportunity for them to be utilized in parks. I believe Stop Waste from Alameda County Waste Management Authority has talked to us and other commissions about that, but that would be great to bring them in and hear about how we could be sequestering carbon, in part of our street tree program or as part of applying it to lawns and parks, because it is a significant amount of compost that the city will be responsible for. Some would say maybe even a reasonable amount, but it is law. So just to flag those two things. Also, I don't know how much I can actually talk about it, but because I did do a presentation earlier this year on Bee City USA, and that was something that we were considering recommending to council, and the former mayor, who's no longer on our board of supervisors or city councilors, had expressed interest in that. So just to remind folks that that is a potential thing that the city can pursue. The Parks and Rec Commission could be the body that maintains that certification and helps the city become more pollinator friendly. There is a monarch overwintering site, as was mentioned, on Albany Hill, and also over by the Gill Tract. And so, that's an opportunity to create habitat for them. There's also something called the Mayor's Monarch Pledge that could be recommended. So those are just things to, consider in terms of how we would like parks to best represent pollinators and other creatures. Yeah, so I think those were the two main things I wanted to just flag for folks going forward.
And then I wanted to just mention, responding to Jeremiah's statement a little bit, that it was interesting hearing the urban forester, John Hockridge, mention the number of, the ratio of trees removed to planted. And I think, Brian, Commissioner Beal's comment was what got to some of what was sort of skewed in my mind about that ratio before I heard about it, was that what comes to the commission is all the there's all this process for tree removals. And so that's what everybody sees who watches our commission, is tree removals. And sometimes we talk about tree plantings, but apparently there's lots of other tree plantings going on, because I think John said something like 12 removals in the last year, but over 100 plantings. So something like that. So that's something the public should also keep in mind, that that's going on. And I think it'd be good to hear updates from our urban forester with regards to that periodically, if it's not already something he does. Okay. Is there any other comment on this before we move to the next agenda item?
Yeah, there's one other thing that I forgot to mention. Carol Fitzgerald, who's with Friends of Albany Hill, had submitted, I believe, a public comment or letter a few times related to like a citizens advisory committee for Albany Hill, which I believe was something that had happened in the past, but that's not something that I understand how it functions and when it would be appropriate. But that might also be something that would be potentially on the work plan if it were to coordinate with a group like that and help a group like that function, were additional oversight to be needed or warranted for ecological reserves such as Albany Hill, that is quite different from some of the other parks in the city. So I just wanted to bring up that because it has been brought up numerous times before this commission.
Lost my connection briefly. Yeah, I see her letter where she requests, so that's in the record there as to things she would like us to think about for the work plan. Okay, well, seeing no other items, no other comments, let's move on to the next agenda item, which is future agenda items. Committee members announce requests for future agenda items. Any requests?
You know, I'm sorry. Going back to Carol's email, I am concerned about kind of destructive use of Albany Hill, and it's something that I'm not necessarily sure we can let wait. Maybe we need some sort of looking into that at this point, or some sort of evaluation. I don't know what that involves, but I would like to see us bring that back up maybe next month.
Okay. Others?
I don't know if I'm allowed to request items. Because there have been the surveys of Albany Hill and the monarchs that that the city has commissioned. I think it would be great to hear a report of the status of the overwintering population in those surveys at a future point at the commission meeting.
Commissioner Frank?
I can't remember how long ago, but Mark Hurley came to just give us an update on sort of the progress of projects. So I'm not sure if we should invite him or if there's a way we could just get from staff any progress on things that are within his control, like the, dog park. I think there's a dog park consultant, just sort of an update on some of the things that are TBD that we've approved, but haven't been funded or haven't been done yet. And so we can see where we are in the work plan.
And I had one, but any other comments?
Well, I guess I'll repeat. I thought I was actually adding to the agenda the last time I talked, but I'll speak now. I think gateways, looking at our gateways, especially the freeway gateways, and that's other things I want to echo. I agree with what was already said. Those are great. And then generally a lot of little, I guess the maintenance, I just have to address that myself. That's already not part of the agenda, but just me to report. I'm going to go around the city and photograph all those little things that bother me, Eva, and send those not to you, but to the Public Works portal.
One, I don't know how it would be. I'm wondering if we can get, one item I was thinking of was the 2x2x2 meeting between the city, the schools, and the UC. That meeting that happened earlier this week had an interesting announcement. It's in early stages that their UC is going to, build like we heard, I think it was Jeremiah talking about housing for what is they proposing 700 to 800 people, which if you do the math is about, I believe, a 4% increase in Albany's population. So it's it's 100% a UC project. So we don't have any direct say in it, but I'm sure they're going to get some public input. And if there's a way, if it makes sense for either them to present to us about what can be done about parks in the area to support that kind of increase in density, or have something about that on a future agenda item. That they're not going to finish it until 2024, so maybe we have time, but the planning is going to happen in the next year or so. Commissioner Beal?
I guess what I would say on that is it seems like maybe there'd be an opportunity for us to push for them to set aside part of that land, whatever they're doing, to push for them, make some park space, something like that. But I think you're right. It would be good for us to be part of that process if we have any influence. If we don't, then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that sounds good. Commissioner Kent?
Yeah, in that same thought, since we're doing the new specific plan for San Pablo Ave, would we want to weigh in on that too, with all the street tree plantings and since that's kind of our realm, isn't it? Can we ask the staff to have us review the San Pablo specific plan for? I guess there's the building part, which we wouldn't really weigh in on, but maybe I've got the wrong name. Not the San Pablo specific plan for Albany's housing, but the state's specific plan for redesigning San Pablo with the bikeways and streets and
the complete streets.
Yeah, that plan exactly.
And typically their community development is working on it ongoing, and when there is a portion of it that they need to come to the commission, they would come and do a presentation and seek input from the commission. So, but we can check with them and see where they are and schedule that for 2021 if that's relevant.
Okay.
Okay, other items? Okay, seeing none. The next agenda item is just to announce the next meeting is Thursday, February 11th. And the last agenda item is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. We adjourn.
Okay, second.
A second.
All right.
I don't think